Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I'm going to be working on a little project. I've got this mag drill here. I picked this up several years ago, actually when I bought several of my machines out of the shop. This was something that we got as part of the deal. And I've never used it. And the reason I haven't is because when I got it, it had a drill that was in here. I think it was a Black & Decker, an old Black & Decker solid metal. I'm like really old Black & Decker drill in here, and it was dead, it was shot. I took it to the motor shop in town. They took it out, said that it was just beyond repair. Viewer out in California actually found he had another drill exactly like that. He was kind enough to send it to me. I actually, at one point in time, got it up on here, got it all mounted up, ready to go, and when I went to use it the first time, the spindle on it was bent, and it was actually, the chuck was wobbling, and wasn't able to use that one. So it's just kind of sitting around. And just not too terribly long ago, I went to an auction, and I picked up this Milwaukee big heavy-duty half-inch drill with the purpose of putting it on here. It's not the same drill that came on this outfit, but I think we can make it work. The big thing was I had to have a pipe thread here in the top that was basically for a handle, but that's where a fitting fits in here to fit in this, and this one here, it fits the bill. So today we're going to be working on modifying this piece over here so that we can use this drill with it. I've got a couple of jobs that I need to use this on, so today's the day we're going to get it going. So my buddy Adam Booth, he has this exact same mag drill. Actually, I saw it at his shop a couple of years ago when I was visiting with him. I think he's shown it in a video recently. And you can, if you look at his video, you can see what the original drill looked like. But we're going to be changing it out and modifying it with this one here. Let me zoom you in here and kind of show you what we got to do. So first off, before I go into that, let me show you how this thing works. So got a power cord. I'm going to plug this in. When I do that, there's basically a big electromagnet down here on the bottom, and when you flip this switch right here, that mags this thing down, and it's not going anywhere. Have a little piece here in the back. You can adjust that to adjust the tilt on it to get your hole, make sure it's drilling straight. You got a little adjustment there, and turn that off. And here in the back, we have a built-in receptacle, and that's to plug your drill in. So you got power here. So we'll plug the drill in, turn it on, and we got all our power. So just a little bit about that. The way this drill mounts in here is, again, you got this little piece right here. It plugs into this pipe fitting in the top of the drill. Again, that's for a handle. And there's a little slotted piece that this slides down into. And you got this top bracket on here. This bracket is not original. It's obviously been something that somebody fabricated up. I know when I looked at Adam's, it has the original bracket on it, but this is going to work for what we need. The first drill that was on here, the original drill that I got with it, the handle, this handle on top was actually in line, so it lined up across the bottom of this, and they just had a U-bolt in here that was holding in place. Now my handle is in the other direction, so what I'm going to have to do is get this thing in here, and we're going to have to put a U-bolt around it in a little bit different direction. I may actually put it in there like such just to get it up a little bit higher. You know what? There's actually a couple little holes here in the back. I might even be able to make a little piece to go across there to hold it up. I want to get it up higher so I have more clearance up under the bottom. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit, figure out. I may take advantage of these two holes here. That may very well be the thing, and then I can just use this. It'll press down straight down on it. I kind of like that idea. Changing plans right here in mid-video. You get to see my brain in action. Scary. I took my bracket off up here on top, and this thing's a little stiff. I think what I want to do is, let's see. Yeah, that's going to come up the top. I want to clean this up. It got a bit of little rust on there. It's real dry. It looks like it needs some grease in here. And even this right here is stiff. It needs to have some grease in there too. Let me go over to my wire wheel. I'm going to clean this up, and then we're going to come back and see if we can lube this whole thing up to make it just work a little smoother. All right, I got that fairly cleaned up, de-rusted anyway. Let's see if I can get this, yeah, get that off the side. Get this nut off. And it's going to be a pain to get this all the way out, but no, it didn't. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got a bearing. There's bronze on either side of this, and a little thrust bearing on the end. So I think what I'm going to do is just put a little grease in there. Got a little can of some Teflon grease here. Won't take much, just to put a little bit in there, and I think that'll loosen that up considerably. All right, let me put this back in here now. Put our thrust bearing, little thrust washer rather, on there, a little bronze. I'm gonna take that over to the wire wheel and de-rust that real quick. I'll be right back. All right, that looks a little bit better there, polished up. That feels much better. All right, same thing, I'm gonna put some grease in here on these tracks that this runs in, because that was completely dry. Doesn't take a whole lot of grease, just enough to kind of wet it. You don't want it running out everywhere. Put a little on this rack too. And there we go. All lubed up. That is much, much better. All right, a little change in plans, which seems to happen a lot around here. But I was going to use these. There's a couple little tapped holes back here in the back, but those actually have to do with the brushes. There's a screw that goes in on top of those. I probably could have taken advantage of them, but I think I came up with a better idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this handle off. There's just two screws that hold it in place. It's a plastic handle. You know, my original plan was kind of using this handle as part of my setup and just putting a U-bolt over it, kind of like the original was. But I was a little bit concerned with that because this is a plastic handle. The original drill that was set up that way was an all cast aluminum housing. So anyway, a little bit different game plan here. What I've done is I went and found a piece of angle iron, pretty stout piece of angle iron here. I just cut a little piece and drilled some holes in here, and I'm going to mount that where the handle is, and then we can then use this plate on the top. I've got some holes in there where we can mount the other plate onto it. So I'll just use the same screws here. We'll put this back on, get them both started first. This is going to make a much sturdier, more stout setup, I think. On the top, I've got 3 drilled and tapped holes. I drilled these 2, but they were a little bit too narrow, and I decided not to use it. So I've got a couple extra holes in there, no big deal. But this is the bracket that we had that was on there before. You can see the holes here where it used to have the U-bolt that went through it. And I've already gone over and kind of got all this set up where it's in the right position and everything. But you know, we got a couple of cap screws here that will attach this. Now this all being metal on metal on metal, it should be really good and stout. Nothing flexing or anything like that. So So there you go. You can kind of see the setup we got. That angle bracket in there should be nice and stout. It's sitting on the top here, so when we're pressing down on there, we're directly connected to the saw, and any flex in the back is actually pushing on the back here, right on the top of there. So I think this is going to work out really good. Let's go see if we can, tell you what, let's do first. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and mount it to the plate, the little rack, and we'll just go put it all on there together. So this just got that little piece here. It's like a T slot. It just goes right in place. And then we'll line up the back here and get those screwed in. All right. Got a couple of countersunk screws here on the bottom side. And this is just how it was set up when I got it. And see these screws up here. I think that's going to be fine. I don't think that's going to. There were some screws that were in here. Were a little bit longer. I'm putting a little bit shorter screw in here just because they had a bunch of washers and stuff in there to kind of align them. There's not really a need for it. We may put a washer under this one. Let me get it in there. Make sure that's not coming out the bottom. We'll be interfering with anything. And it's not. It's actually up in there a little bit. So that's good. Good there. Now, that's pretty rigid setup. I think we're ready to put this all back together over here. Slide this back in place, and voila. I think that is going to work out just fine. All right, so we got this on here now, and I'm looking at it, and I think I'm going to make another little modification. So this is with the rack all the way down as far as it'll go, and I've still got about 3 or 4 inches up underneath the bottom there. I would like my chuck to be, when it's all the way down, I'd like my chuck to be down a little bit closer to the bottom. I've got a couple of inches I can move this down in here, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this back apart, and I'm going to have to drill and tap some new holes in the plate to lower the whole drill down. I think the drill that was in here before was a little bit taller, and when it was all the way down, it reached down a little bit farther than that. So let's just go ahead and get it done now, because I really want, at the bottom end of my stroke, I want my chuck to be almost touching the table. I slid everything down, and it worked out that these 2 holes here lined up with the existing holes that were already in there. So I think what I'm going to do is take this over and do a test fit. If everything works out good, I'll drill and tap 2 new holes there. But before I do that, I want to just take it and try it out, make sure that's going to be in the right position. All right, let's give it a try. That's all the way down. That's probably where I'm going to have to just live with, because my little T-slot nut here is pretty much down all the way at the very bottom. If I go down any farther, it's not going to be engaged anymore. So I think it's just going to have to be good enough. I would really love to go down another inch, but if I go down another inch, we're going to lose engagement down here. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll drill and tap those holes there, and I think we'll be in good shape. Went over and got my transfer punches, and what I've got here is a punch. This is the same diameter as the whole 1/4 inch. So I can just use the existing holes to line this up to the center punch point. So we'll just tap these in. And now I've got a nice little indentation down there. I'll take this off, and then we can make those center punches a little bit deeper, and we should be good to go. drill and tap those. This will be 1/4 20, so I need to drill them with a number 7 drill bit and then tap it with a 1/4 20 tap. Okay. I don't know if you can see them, but you can see the center punch holes there, and they're kind of light, so I'm just going to take a heavier center punch here, and we'll get us a good center that I can now take over to the drill press. We'll drill those out and then tap them. All right, I've drilled and tapped those new holes. Let's get this bolted back down. I think we got it. Let's try this again. I can live with that. All right. Let's try it out and see how it works. So to test this thing out, I think I'm going to drill and tap a couple of holes in my welding table here to mount this vise. I picked this vise up a while back, and I really need to do a restoration on it, but it works, so I've just been kind of using it. But I want to get it bolted down. I've been just clamping it down with some of my welding clamps. So I got a transfer punch here. Again, these come in a set, basically on fractional sizes here, and that fits right down in there. And I'm going to go ahead and, whoops. There we go. That should be right dead center on that one. I'm going to put my clamp back on this side, and we'll go to the other side, do the same thing, and that'll get me where we'll know right where to drill these holes. All right. There's one of my punches. Here's the other one right there. I'm going to take one of my big center punches here now, and I'm just going to get a nice clean punch on both of these. I'm going to tap this for a 1/2 inch 13 thread. We'll just bolt it straight down to the table. So I got a 27/64 drill bit in here. And see, I don't think this, does it have? I don't seem to have a switch to hold that open, so I'm just going to have to hold it here while I'm drilling, but no big deal. All right, one down. Basically, as you can see, it just turns it into a little portable drill press. You have a drill press wherever you need it, as long as you got something magnetic that you can put that magnet on. So let's get it set up for the other hole here. Turn the magnet off. Let's got a little residual magnetic force in there, but we'll get lined up on the second hole. All right, that looks pretty good. Actually, I'll bump it over just a little bit. That's much better. Put a little countersink on here. Use my hand drill just to help that tap get started. That should do it. And I got a 1/2 inch 13 tap here. Put a little bit of this anchor lube in here to lubricate it going down. And I probably could have power tapped this with the drill, but what's the fun in that? All right, we're all the way through. Same thing over here. All right. So let's get some bolts now. Got some 1/2 inch bolts. See if we can get this thing bolted down to the bench finally, rather than using those clamps. One side. And the other side. Very good. Well, there you go, some modifications to get this drill to work with this old mag drill base. And we've got a working tool now in the shop. Like I said, I've had this thing for 3 or 4 years, haven't been able to use it, but that is now remedied. I got a couple of jobs I need this for besides my vise. This was just something quick and easy I needed to get done. I thought we'd do that on camera, but I've got several things we need to use this for. And we'll be using it. You'll probably be seeing it in videos from time to time from now on. And with that, there you go. That's going to be a wrap, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Please leave comments if you like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll catch you on the next video.